welcome to Four Friends in the Book podcast. My name is Chris Colston, and of course, I'm here with my favorite four friends as well, Miss Laria Reed, Kimberly Lake, and Isaiah Tukes, and of course, the book for this month. Again, we're in December. The Fire Next Time by Mr. James Baldwin. So if you're tuned in for the very first time, Four Friends in the Book is our monthly podcast series where we have a discussion centered around a book that we're reading together. And so we meet here to discuss that book, to talk about it, and even talk about things that may not relate to it. So we like to consider ourselves a book club, book reviewers, mixed with just table talk amongst friends. And at the end of each show, it wouldn't be a show without it. We have a rant from Mr. Rant Man himself, Mr. Isaiah Tukes, where he kind of just speaks from his heart and just rant on whatever maybe on his mind. So again, if you haven't already, please go back, get caught up and current with Four Friends in the Book podcast. Check out our old episodes and get up to date with us over here with the books we've read and the topics that we've discussed here on Four Friends in the Book. Additionally, if you guys have any book recommendations, any topics, any things you want us to cover here on Four Friends in the Book, we would love to hear that from you as well. So send us a DM, send us a message, DM any one of us or our Four Friends page, send us an email, whatever y'all want to do. We just want to hear from you guys. Any book recommendations or topics, we would love to hear it here on Four Friends in the Book. All right. So as I just mentioned, we're in the month of December. Approaching Christmas time. You see everybody with Christmas attire on over here, man. We getting ready for the holidays. We love Christmas over here on Four Friends in the Book. But, again, we read books. And so the book for this month, as I just mentioned, The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. I would hope you're familiar with James Baldwin. Just kind of an icon within our community. An author, playwright, poet, big in the Harlem Renaissance and just the civil rights era of really just kind of speaking so eloquently and conveying the Black experience to the masses with his talks, his speeches, his poems, his essays. And so we're reading a collection this month, The Fire Next Time, which is kind of a collection of essays and letters that he's written, which is now in a book format. So let's unpack it. Let's jump into it. Let's talk about this book here on Four Friends in a Book. And you guys know what it is. I open the show up each month with this question, so you should already know what it is. What did you think about this book? And if you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would that be? And I'm coming to my good brother Isaiah to kick this show off, man. What did you think about The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin?
James Baldwin is already one of my favorite authors, but I knew he was a good author because I read a lot of his work, like Giovanni's Room, I'm Not Your Negro, Go Tell on the Mountain. But this book is really cemented why I actually like a lot of his works. I think he has a way with words. He's so articulate, especially how he writes his stuff out, and especially has a really deep understanding for the social politics. With me reading this book, I felt like he was talking directly to me, like sharing his truth, especially like with the world that he lived in back when he wrote the book in the 60s. And sadly, we're still going through the same things in 2024. So it's relevant today. And I picked up this book basically looking for just guidance in today's political climate, especially after this recent election. My mind was just all over the place. But one thing about Baldwin that I like, that he just forces you to read, he's forced you to learn. And even if you don't agree with him, he actually makes you think in a different perspective. And, this book is nothing short than amazing. It was a short read, but it had a big punch. And I rate this book a 9.
Okay. So kicking the show off with a 9 from Mr. Tukes over here. All right. So coming to Kimberly Lake next. Again, what did you think about this book? If you had to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10, what would that be?
I really enjoyed this book. Like Isaiah, I didn't read all the books Isaiah has read of James Baldwin, but I did read If Bill Street Could Talk. So I did enjoy that book. So going into this book, I knew it was comprised of 2 short essays. It's a short listen, but like Isaiah says, it really packs a lot of punch, a lot of information, a lot of emotion. And I just really like how he writes, because he's very good at emoting and sharing his feelings, so you really feel him and understand where he's coming from. And it's funny when Isaiah said that, because when I was listening to the book, I was like, if he was alive today, I feel like, because in the book, he had so much hope for the future, was like hoping things would change, and he was trying to get us to think so things can change, like back then. And I feel like now he'd be like, this book is still relevant today. So I was kind of sad when I was listening to it, thinking about that. But despite all that, I really did enjoy the book. I thought it was well written. I think he is a brilliant writer. So I really enjoyed just the words he was actually using. If I were to rate the book, I'll go with Isaiah. I think it's a classic. So I'm gonna give it a 9 as well. I think it's I think it's a good listen.
Okay, so look, 2 9s kicking the show off for The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. All right, Laria, you gonna keep the train rolling, or you about to disrupt over here?
No, how could you ever go against a James Baldwin? I mean, he's really good, and I always enjoyed listening to his clips, his video clips of him speaking and talking. So to hear him speak in, through this, I guess it wouldn't, was it essays or letters or however it was?
Essays,
how he wrote them, just his word knowledge, his word play, how he's just so intelligent. He's super genius. First of all, that's number one, but he's human enough to where you can understand everything he's saying. And it's so passionate. It's like, this is what I'm feeling. This is how it is. He's just he articulates exceptionally well. And the other thing about it, and just like you guys said, I was reading, I didn't read, I listened to it on Audible, but I was just thinking oh my gosh, this is the same stuff that is happening now. This is like a foreshadowing. It's exactly the same. It may not be as blatant, but we've maybe made 2 steps up, but it's all still the same. And then on top of that, it's very sad, because when I was listening to it, I really got sad, because I was like, we've been fighting the same fight for 100 years, literally, but I enjoyed it. Wonderful read, great author. I wish he were alive today, so maybe he could shed some. I don't know if he would even want to be alive today, but it was awesome. I'll give it a 9 too. I think it was great. It was good.
Look at
Look, I had 3 9s for The Fire Next Time. James Baldwin. Oh, so look, you trying to say I'm becoming the new you? Is that what you're trying to say? Man. Okay, well, look, I guess we have kind of switched roles, man. Y'all, look, I don't know if it's a 9. So
it's James Baldwin. How you go below a 9 with James Baldwin?
I love James Baldwin. As I mentioned before, he's just so eloquent in his ability to express and convey information. I think even just going back and watching some of his old clips, even outside his book, I think he was necessary to convey to a wider audience the experience. And I think with his wordplay and his expression, it made it easier for some people that didn't have the shared experience to understand and to I guess to relate to some of the things that he was saying. So from that perspective, I love his work. I have read some of his other essays, and like Kim mentioned, if Bill Street could talk, just great literary works. Of course, that's been turned into a movie. I'm Not Your Negro, just classic. He's done just some great work. This one, it was good. It was good. I just don't know if it was a 9, y'all. I'm gonna take a step down. I'm gonna go with an 8.
It sounds like he's saying about a 6, but he's trying to be nice.
No, so again, I love the essays, and that kind of leads into the next part of it, because I love the essays. And again, it's broken out into different letters, essays, one's to his nephew, one's kind of just his, just life journey and growing up, talking about church experience and in Harlem and all these things or whatever. It just really touches on a lot of good points. It just didn't, I don't know, I guess I'm just kind of comparing it to other stuff, and just overall, it just wasn't, it wasn't that high on my list. in that aspect, but still a good book. And so, as I just mentioned, it is a collection of essays. He's kind of covering different topics, even starting out, with a letter to his nephew, which is kind of preparing him for life in this journey, as a Black man in this world. Then getting into, Down at the Cross, where he's kind of talking about just his past, some of his religious backgrounds, even some discussion with the Nation of Islam and having to sit down with them. So just covering a lot of different topics. And as you guys mentioned, it is kind of sad because I think a lot of our civil rights leaders would be disappointed because some of the same fights that we were having back then are still being fought for now. And that's what makes these, even reading these books now so relevant. But even with that being said, so again, these different essays and letters, did you guys have a favorite, I guess, piece or part of his letters or essays or collections that were presented in this book? Again, The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. And I'm coming to Ms. Lake on this one. Was there a particular piece or particular essay that just resonated with you more or stood out to you more as you were reading or listening to this book?
Yes, the Down at the Cross, that essay resonated with me more. It's funny because, not to plug myself again, but it just, what he talked about in there did remind me of like my documentary I did, Segregated Sundays. And I just liked how he was honest about his journey, about faith, then his disillusionment with faith. Because I think today a lot of people can relate to that when you see online. When how he talked, I was like, I see that a lot on TikTok or online. So it's, things really don't change, as they say. So I really enjoyed that essay. I really liked how he talked about the role of the church in the civil rights movement and how it was fun. It made me research outside his essay because I was like, what was his relationship with like Dr. King and stuff? Because, Dr. King was in the church and he was very critical of like the civil rights movement and the church itself being a part of it. So I saw that they were good friends and he supported, the March on Washington and all that stuff and everything. So it was just interesting to me to see how he was so critical, but still was in support of Dr. King, and Dr. King thought he was a brilliant writer as well. So I just really liked that Down at the Cross piece, and I thought I could relate to that more than the other essay.
That's good. Coming to Ms. Laria Reed next. Was it a favorite essay or segment or throughout this collection by James Baldwin, The Fire Next Time?
And I hate to be right back with Kim because that was the part that I was going to talk about, the Down at the Cross, because I was just sitting there like, he was saying a lot of things from a Black perspective about how ministers were saying, oh, we don't talk to white people and we don't, we can't fool white people because da-da-da-da-da. And it sounds like the same way now, but on the opposite end, like, Black folks are vote for somebody who supports abortion and da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da, and I'm not going to go into all of that, but it sounded the same if we're supposed to be Christians, but he always kept going back to love. And, he was trying so hard to really express that we're all human and we have a human experience, and I'm just darker than you and I just have a different experience than you. And I feel like we're still doing that even in a Christian perspective. Like, I believe the same Jesus you believe, but I don't know if your Jesus has as much love as my Jesus, or if your Jesus is more harsh than my Jesus. You know what I'm saying? So it was just, in a sense, to me, in our climate now, it was kind of refreshing to hear, okay, I'm not crazy. This was happening even then. And I'm not saying it was right or wrong, but what I am saying is things have not changed. And it even goes back to my boo, Malcolm X, in his book that we read. Because all the stuff he talked about, it was the same stuff that James Baldwin was saying in a different way. All of them had the same, they may have stated it and had different foundational beliefs and belief systems, but they all stated the same thing. And I'm just like, I don't know what else to do for Black people at this point. It's like, we've had some really good leaders, but it just doesn't look like we've had anybody to pick up the torch to continue to fight. consistently. We have good people, but not where they've joined efforts to get things accomplished within us. So, but anyway, down at the cross, that was the part that I really enjoyed. All the stories, I really enjoyed those, and his father, and it was a lot, but it was good. It was good. I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's good. All right, come to my brother next, man. Particular essay, a letter, or just part within this collection that really stood out to you?
Mine was My Dungeon Shook, the letter to his nephew. I think, like we keep saying, like it just said that, the things that he talked about in 1963, we're still going through that in 2024. Like his words about racism, inequality, sadly reflect, the things that we live in today. Like L'Oreal said, like who if we don't stand up for us, like who's going to stand up? Like we can't avenge of those Martin, those Malcolm. So we have to take the torch that they've given us to actually push this thing forward. Police brutality to our Black youth hasn't stopped. Our Black children are still being discouraged by people who fail to see them as their potential. You even heard somebody tell like a $1 billion basketball player, LeBron James, shut up and dribble. Like that's what they really think of us. And if it's us to let them know that we're more than just athletes, it's more than this. Like we can actually do different things in different spectrums. And they look at our Black hue as less than, but it's what makes us powerful. And Chris, you making me a quote guy, because I took this quote, color is not human or a personal reality, it's a political reality. And it just basically reminds us that these problems is basically deeply rooted into society. It's just disappointing. Like we just keep saying that this book is just still so relevant. A book that's over 60 years old. Like we're going through the same thing that our fathers and our grandfathers, and our ancestors went through, but we just have to take that torch and keep going. The letter to his nephew is just powerful. It's something that we should all read and just learn from. And Baldwin is just that guy. He's that intelligent, articulate guy that's just going to teach us that, and we just have to learn and grow from that.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, and I think even like I said with this collection, just kind of touching on those topics, it is very difficult, and especially me personally, I love histories and biographies, and so we've read a lot of those books or types of books here on Four Friends in the Book. And just to add another one to the list where it's like, man, these are like historical moments or snapshots within that period of time, but it's like we're almost still stuck in those same eras, and it is kind of disheartening to think that so much effort was put into the civil rights movement, and just even trying to shed the light on some of these activities that were going on, as a Black American. And while things have changed, and I can't dismiss that we've, made some progress, in areas, but it's still just very disheartening to think that like our society is still dealing with some of these same issues, and that we're still having the same plights for like equality and equity within this country, across races and other ethnic groups as well. So it's crazy that when we look back and reach back to these old like literary like bodies of work, but we're still seeing like some of the similar things as well. But kind of speaking on that from that perspective. And so again, we're all here on Four Friends in the Book are kind of connected like via a local church here. So down at the cross was kind of his journey of like, with religions, him being 14 years old and getting saved and deciding he want to be a little preacher or whatever, and going with it and kind of just going through his journey and evolution of like religion and Christianity. And then I guess getting to a point where he's like, well, I don't really know kind of what I am at this point, but still just I guess sharing that experience. And so since we're a little churchy over here, I want to get you guys' thoughts and opinions about that.
Churchy.
even some of his critiques about the church. And look, I'm gonna come to our resident PK over here because she should definitely be able to speak. Look at the PK. Knock the camera over.
Knock my camera over. Hold on a second.
Let them know, PK.
Woo, Lord. Okay. My bad.
So look, coming to our resident PK on this question, let's kind of see, again, down at the cross was his segment within this book where he kind of talks about just the religious organizations. Again, him being a Christian, being a little youth pastor, and having some sit downs and discussions with the Nation of Islam. So kind of want to get Laria, get your opinion. Do you think he was too critical of the church, or in his kind of explanation of, I guess, his perspective on the church? Like, what are your thoughts and opinions about that?
Well, I mean, so I am a little more open-minded than a lot of people when it comes to church, in the sense of I feel that everyone has to have their own journey to Christ. And I feel like when he was talking, the first thing I thought was James Baldwin, I can only imagine, was a very articulate, smart, intelligent young man. And when you can get up and say an Easter speech or do anything very well in the church, it's like, oh yeah, let's go and start cultivating him. He gonna be a preacher.
We're gonna groom him.
We're gonna move him on in there. Let's go on it, and so I think as parents, and I just had this conversation yesterday with some friends of mine about how we see the gifting in a person when they're young and in the church, and we tend to just push them and thrust them on in without allowing them the ability to, and I'm not saying they can't have a confession for Christ or whatnot, but that ability to cultivate their relationship and to see, how their Jesus is. And what I mean by that is like, I just don't think he was given the time to develop his relationship with Christ as a younger man going into young adulthood, because he would have been able to I don't think he would have been as critical if he would have had more of and he may have been, but I feel like he didn't have that time to really develop as a man his own thoughts and beliefs about the church and where he was, because the instances that happened to him were very traumatic. He was talking about the policeman having him on the ground, and just living in that time was very stressful for a Black male. And I think that when you go into an environment where it's like, just keep loving people, and and then on the other side is don't talk to white people, and then it's like, well, Jesus was this, and then he talked about the history of the Hebrews and all, and it could have been very confusing for him. So I feel like he was battling within his own personal relationship, because you have to come up with your own theology within the parameters of what you believe. So I felt kind of bad for him in a sense, because, I just had this soft spot for children in the church who are gifted and how we just throw them in there and we don't allow them that time to cultivate. And I felt like that was the root of how he felt about different things and why he was so like, well, y'all don't do da 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 da, and y'all, because he didn't have the time to see the faults while he was in it young. You get what I'm saying? So I hope I'm articulating what I'm thinking properly. Yeah. But I just felt like that was the root of a lot of how his life kind of went, because they just push me. You can have a gifting and be a younger kid, but I just feel like sometimes you have to protect that and allow a child to kind of grow into their own theology of how, yes, you can love the Lord and you can love God and you can accept Jesus, but it's important to know, the first church was in Ethiopia. The first, like there's a Blackness to all of this, okay? Especially in that time frame, but they didn't have those teachings going on there, so it kind of separated everything. So it was either you with the Nation of Islam or you with the Christians, or or you just neutral. So, but anyway, that's my thing.
Yeah. I think it was kind of interesting. So even him, talking about his father, and it's almost like they had like a little love-hate relationship, or there was, and so him even saying how, him becoming like a young preacher is like, it was almost to kind of like one up his father to a certain degree. It was like, I want to be better than him, but also him being a preacher gave him an outlet, because now like his father couldn't mess with him because he was going to prepare his sermons. And so it kind of became a method of him kind of not having to deal with, people or his father, like questioning anything, because his father kind of understood the process of him, developing his sermons and things of that sort. So it was almost combative in a certain, or not combative, more competitive to a certain degree. So I kind of found that interesting. And so it kind of made me wonder, like, was that more of the driver? Or was that the motivation for him to really just be better than his father, or to kind of outdo his dad based on the fact that they did have what appeared to be like a troubled or kind of estranged relationship? So, yeah. Coming on, brother Isaiah, man, what are your thoughts? Again, was he too critical of the church, or his explanation or his perspective, like, of the church, Christianity, the nation, like, just all those things? What are your thoughts and opinions on that?
So I want to agree with both of y'all, especially when L'Oreal said, like, some of the kids, they don't get to cultivate of being inside the church. When you have a gift, they are going to push you directly to the front. You have to read your Easter speech a certain type of way, like you speaking to senators, and you have to do this, and then you only have to do it right the first time. And I understand it because I wore them shoes for a long time. But, Baldwin's critique of the church is just basically, about how you see it. It's basically whether it depends on if you come from that church environment or not. It's just basically your own opinion. I think that's what I'm trying to say. He acknowledged that, the church is important about giving, back to the Black communities, the strength and the hope in that, like, in our slaveries and that segregation part of it. But however, he does criticize it, that it just focuses too much on that afterlife, and just instead of helping people just fight for their justice, because, Baldwin is all about being in those streets and fighting for the, the goodness and the betterment of Black people. But I think some might just find it just basically too harsh, if they see the church, it's just a source of resilience and hope. And, other may agree with him, like, especially if, the church has done enough to address these real world racism issues as well. Because, a lot of churches don't speak out when things are going on into the community. But, Baldwin's critique, I think, is basically was fair. It was his opinion, and he gave us that sense of that he challenges us just to see, different aspects of your opinion. So like I said from the beginning, like, because he thought on such a higher level, he makes you think on a higher level as well, too. So I don't think it was a right or a wrong. It's just basically how you actually align yourself with his, his thought process.
Almost definitely.
That was good. That was good. All right, coming to Miss Lake next to kind of look, Miss Segregated Sunday over here.
Okay, so, Segregated Sunday.
What are your thoughts and opinions on the I guess the piece on Down at the Cross? Was he too critical of the church? Did he kind of highlight some factual or some things you may have disagreed with? Like, what are your opinions on that?
I think if I look at it from his perspective and how he grew up and the information that he was going along with and examples he had, like he talked about in the book, I think his critique is fair for his experience. When I was listening to that portion of the essay, I should say, I was like, man, if he was alive today, I feel like he might have a little bit of a different opinion, because now, just even within Christianity and like Black churches, there is more talk about the liberation. It is more talk about social justice. It is more talk about the real roots and history of, the Black and people of color that are in the Bible that you didn't really talk about back then. And I can imagine Baldwin being so smart the way he is and being inquisitive. I'm sure back then it was kind of hard for him to have all these questions and have all these thoughts and just kind of not have people really answer them in the church like they probably would now. So I think his critique is fair, but that's what kept going on my mind. I was like, man, I wish he was around today with, YouTube and the different pastors and theologians, because I think he would have got a more solid foundation. I don't think he just got a true foundation of the church. It was more of a perverted sense, kind of like you have the like white side he was looking at that was racist, and he's like, how can you be racist and you say you love God but you don't love us? And then he's looking at the Black church and being so docile and not about being for the oppressed and saying like, your reward is just in heaven. So I can see how that could be frustrating to him, but I just don't think he got a true solid foundation. So his critique is true to him, but I don't think it's true in general, is what I should say.
Yeah. No, that's good. I guess the thing that kind of came to mind to me was like, the term church hurt, and how often, like, yeah,
I heard people talk about that church hurt.
Yeah, but so it can be a real thing, and for some people, they take that that experience or that one experience, and it turns them completely away from the church. And so, I guess it kind of just came to mind to me when thinking about this, how maybe a negative or a misguided experience can kind of change your whole outlook or narrative about, Christianity or any other faith that you may follow. So that kind of came to mind to me. Just thinking about this part. You got something to say about church hurt, man?
I really do have an opinion about church hurt because, I know somebody who has actually dealt with that, and I tried to actually talk with them about it. But the thing is, they so vastly on their opinion, and they don't want to hear what nobody else says. So it's hard to understand or to not understand or trying to get another different perspective to them when they're like, I was hurt, I don't like this, but they categorize everybody with their church hurt they got back in the day. And I'm just trying to let them know, like, it's different. Like, you have to learn to express yourself. If you're wrong, address it then, and instead of harboring it and try to oppress every single else that you try to go to. Because if you hurt, you're going to take that hurt to this church and that church and the next church, and you're never going to be at home or at peace with something. So I think a lot of us don't like to deal with a lot of the situations, and we want to just state our facts, and we don't want anybody to just challenge that, if I should say. But if that's why it's hard to deal with that church hurt. You never know what to say because you don't want to step on anyone's toes with that. So you try to be a listening ear, but it's hard when they just set in their ways and they don't want to learn or grow. So when when somebody experiences that church hurt, I can't take away how you felt. I just try to change your perspective of going forward into the future.
Right. That's good, Isaiah.
That is good. All right. So again, we just
not my rant.
A pre-rant.
Just had a discussion on this book, The Fire Next Time by Mr. James Baldwin. So if you guys haven't already, definitely go check it out. It is a quick read. Like, it's a thin book, so you can knock it out, in a day. Okay. Again, just a historical icon for the Harlem Renaissance, civil rights movement. Like I said, just his expression and his uses of words and just his diction to convey thoughts and ideas is unmatched. And so salute to James Baldwin on The Fire Next Time. Great selection here on Four Friends in the Book. All right, so let's transition a little bit. Like I said, we don't only read books up here. We like to talk and just catch up with each other, talk about what's going on. Look, we are in the month of December. We are fastly approaching the holidays, the Christmas holidays. Look, yes. Everybody got their little holiday shirts on. We're in the Christmas spirit. So, I want to kind of get you guys' thoughts and opinion about Christmas and just the holidays in general. What's your favorite part of Christmas? Any fond childhood memories or anything you're looking forward to? Any foods, any songs, any movies, like all that good Christmassy stuff that I know y'all love to talk about, because I think we got some Christmas fanatics here on Four Friends in the Book. I think Christmas may be their favorite holiday. So just want to kind of get you guys' thoughts and opinion about Christmas. And I'm coming back to Mr. Real Read on this one. Is there anything you're looking forward to for Christmas? Any foods, any movies, any Christmas songs? Just whatever you want to talk about.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it all.
Everything.
I love Christmas movies. I've been watching Christmas movies all year, by the way, anyway. But I listen to Christmas music all throughout the year anyway. And I really ramp it up in October so I can give me a full 90 days. I'm looking forward to chilling, enjoying my family. This year, I'm supposed to go to New York so I can experience Christmas in another city. I've always wanted to go and see. So I'm just going to do a quick flight, go up there, see what that looks like, see the different sites, and come on back home. Because I think that's going to be something I'm going to start implementing, is going to do Christmas in a different city or a different country or whatever, just for a couple of days to see what it's like in different places. But yeah, I'm excited about it. I love December. I think it's an awesome time of year. We normally go to Disney World for Christmas. We're not going this year, but I may go in January. But anyway, so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait. I don't like to do the whole traditional food for Christmas because I feel like that's Thanksgiving. So I don't know. I like seafood all the time. So that might be what we do, but I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what my family says because I might get outvoted.
Okay, so the seafood boil for Christmas. I got it.
That'd be awesome. Some fried fish, boy. Be in the house.
All right. Coming to my brother Isaiah, man. Favorite moment, food, movie. Like, what are you looking forward to as the Christmas holiday fastly approaches us?
Well, first, if I can have my pick, we'll be spending Christmas in Bali. I've been at home. I've been at home. I like to go somewhere different, but now that my parents are getting older, I try to spend more of the holiday time with them as well too. This is the tradition. One thing that we have done a lot is, especially on Christmas Eve, we watched the movie The Best Man Holiday. Now we're actually going to watch that on Christmas Eve as well too. But one thing I do want to talk about, like my favorite Christmas memory. As a child, I think the day before Christmas, I always got to open up one gift. And, they allowed me to do that. But then on Christmas morning, I always saw myself running downstairs and, the gifts on the tree. But it was more than just a gift. It was just basically spending time with your family and your loved ones, being connected with them as well, too. I think those are traditions that I do want to carry on in the future. I just want to do it in Bali instead of being here.
Right.
Look, the Christmas tree in Bali. I hear you.
I ain't mad at that at all.
All right. So coming to Kim next. What are you looking forward to again as we're approaching the Christmas holidays? You have any favorite foods or music or movies, or look, you going out of town? Isaiah, you pushing for Bali. So are you going anywhere for the holidays? Like, what are you looking forward to?
I, like Luria, absolutely love Christmas. I start to count down as soon as Christmas finishes. I started for the next year. So I love all the music. I love the movies. I love the holiday cheer and spirit when you go into the stores. It's just a great time of the year. I will say one of my favorite Christmases was when I went to Disney World, because I went for the first time as an adult. So it was like 2013, and I was in lines. I was with my little nieces back then, but I was like Tiana and trying to, get pictures with Mickey and all that stuff, because I was like, I just felt like a little child again. I felt the Christmas magic at Disney. So that was one of my favorite things. This year, I believe I'll be in Charlotte for Christmas. I'm like Isaiah, if I could go somewhere, I think I would want a white Christmas. I grew up in Jersey, so I had my memories of Christmas is like snow and all that stuff. So somewhere where it had some snow and some skiing, some hot cocoa, that really feels Christmassy to me. So I don't know where there would be Sweden or something. I don't know. But I think
Sweden. I was thinking of that.
So that would be like a dream kind of Christmas vacation for me. But I'm looking forward to Christmas this year, and I want to tell everybody out there, Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, guys.
Okay. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, look, I think y'all can miss me on that snow and cold stuff.
Hawaii would be ideal.
Yeah, I'm kind of like Isaiah. Look,
you go to Bali.
Yeah, put me on the beach somewhere if I'm gonna be out the country. But yeah, I think Christmas and just the holidays in general, just for me, is just being able to spend time with your family, catch up with your friends, your loved ones. It's kind of just always the important thing. And even kind of just now being able to see that being, I guess, passed on to like my nieces and nephews or like my younger family members, and just them having those experiences. It's kind of awesome. Like I remember like waking up as a kid and, running to the living room and you got these bikes and toys. And I remember, I'd never forget, like me and my sister got the Nintendo when it came out back in the 80s. And we just thought that was the best thing ever. And it was this huge box and it was just sitting there on the floor. But now even to see my nieces and nephews kind of have those similar experiences, it just brings joy to me. And so I think, again, just being around family, friends, loved ones. Of course, I ain't never gonna pass on a good plate. So some good food, put you in that good sleep coma. But you're just looking forward to kind of just spending time, relaxing, kind of winding down the year and preparing for the new year. So Yeah. All right. So look, good to hear that from you guys as far as your Christmas holiday spears and everything y'all looking forward to as we close out the year, man. It's still crazy. Like I still feel like we just started this year.
Right.
And we are already at year's end. So yeah, it's just crazy. All right. So look, for the transition for our final piece here, look, y'all know what time it is. Our favorite segment of the show. Wouldn't be a show without it. The period we call the rant. Look, 60 seconds uninterrupted from none other than Mr. Rant Man himself, Isaiah Tukes. Look, he been ranting since we started Four Friends in the Book. And he has a rant on deck every month. We give him 60 seconds to kind of speak from the heart. Like, we don't debate it. We don't contest it. Honestly, we don't even know what we're going to talk about. Like, it's a surprise and a shock to us, what his rant may be about. He kind of did a little pre-mini rant earlier in the episode, but
I had to bring it back.
Yeah, he had to pull it back a little bit. So, my brother, the floor is yours. 60 seconds. Go.
Let's focus on the Georgia Dream Lender Program. This is a homeownership initiative designed to help first-time buyers like Miss Chayla Kendall achieve the dream of owning a home. Miss Kendall is a teacher and a mother of 3 sons. They were all thrilled at the prospect of moving into their first home. She submitted all the paperwork on time and did everything expected of her. And if you ever gone through the home buying process, you know they ask for everything short of a blood sample. She was given a closing date, but then it was postponed again and again and again. And each time this happened, Miss Kendall and her sons were forced into temporary housing. And by the end of this, they was nearly homeless. And out of desperation, Miss Kendall contacted her local news station to get things done. This program is supposed to help first-time buyers make homeownership more accessible, and yet she was let down repeatedly. You can imagine the excitement that her family felt. She did everything she was supposed to do, but the system failed her. Shame on everybody who had their hands on this, ignored it, shuffled it away, and tried to avoid giving her essentially what she was entitled to. And these programs can help bridge the wealth gap, with homeownership being one of the most effective ways to build generational wealth. And she was doing everything right to achieve it. Instead, she was failed by the very system designed to help her. Miss Kendall and her boys, your resilience deserves recognition. And to everyone listening, let's make sure these programs are here and designed to let me go back to that again. Miss Kendall and her boys, your resilience deserves recognition. And to everyone listening, let's make sure these programs work for the people they're meant to serve. And that's that on that.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, I mean, even especially in today's time, I mean, like home ownership, it's almost like unattainable. Like it just seems like it's so difficult. I mean, there's a shortage in houses, but now just the availability of getting a house, the cost of a house, the interest rates, it's like I just can't even imagine being like, fresh out of school trying to start a family and trying to get a house. Is like, it's crazy. So brother, we appreciate you educating us, on these programs and actually what's even going on out here. And we're going to continue to just kind of, shed the light and bring awareness to some of these things and make sure that, again, these programs are being utilized in the correct manner to ensure that equity in home ownership is available to all that desire and want it.
Correct.
So we appreciate you for enlightening us and keeping us informed once again with your rant. All right. So look, wrapped up the book, The Fire Next Time by James Baldwin. Had a discussion about the Christmas holidays and just what we're looking forward to, memories, food, traveling, all that good stuff. And my brother just killed the rant here on Four Friends in the Book once again. So Isaiah, tell them what we have coming up in the new year. Look, y'all, 2025. It's
2025, right?
To even think about that. But Isaiah, tell them what's coming up next.
Hey guys, before we let you go, before you start your holiday cheer or even unwrapping your gifts, let's talk about Georgia's Born and Bred, Young Jeezy. That is the first book we're going to start with of the new year. His book, Adversity, for sale. You don't want to miss this episode. L'Real, please let the viewers know when they can tune in.
You can tune in every third Thursday of every month. Your favorite 4 friends will be right here to discuss everything that we just read with you.
Yep. And we are available on all your favorite streaming platforms. If you're watching us on YouTube right now, hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications for us so when we post, you know, and make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram.
Absolutely, guys. We appreciate you just rocking with us here on 4 Friends in a Book. Look, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, all that good stuff. And as always, let's continue to read, let's learn, let's grow, and let's have a discussion right here on 4 Friends in a Book. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Merry Christmas.
Bye.